Good evening, everybody, from Lit Infinite Journal of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences. On this Friday, we are here again. We are going to offer you one more evening with some of the most talented people that we have around us, and we will be talking about fake, fact, fiction, and the fourth estate, where we have our esteemed guests tonight. We have Professor Debanjan Banerjee from Media Department, HOD Media Department, NSHM Kolkata. Welcome, Professor Debanjan Banerjee, for today's
Good
session.
evening, everyone. Good evening.
Uh, we also welcome Professor Shoykot Mojumdar from Sister Nivedita University, Mass Communication Media Department, Sister Nivedita University, Kolkata. Professor Shoykot Mojumdar, we offer you a very hearty welcome from Lit Infinite Journal.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and good evening, everybody.
And we have Rumela Sinha, who is a media professional who is working as the Chief Copy Editor, Press Trust of India. Welcome, ma'am, Rumela ma'am, from Lit
Thank
Infinite
you so
Journal.
much, and hello, everybody.
Okay, and now today's topic, before we just go into the details and the nitty gritty, obviously we have, as we have already offered and we have discussed much about this, this is not going to be an academic deliberation, but definitely two things with which we will start the topic, two definite observations that I have. One is given by Rasmus Clay Nielsen, director at Reuters Institute for the Study of Journalism. And he talks about the problems of disinformation in this era. Disinformation in a society like India, the spreading of disinformation, fake news, it might be more sophisticated and more challenging that they are in the Western world, as he says, in case of fake news. Number two, the second observation, the second reading that we have, as per a report that was generated by The Guardian, the Indian media research, it was conducted by CMS, and it stated that the cause of spread of fake news was that India lacked any specific media policy for verification. Additionally, it happened that law enforcement officers have also been arrested. Reporters and journalists were also arrested for creating sensational fake news, fictitious articles, especially giving live when they were extremely controversial. So I just ask, or rather, I'd invite Professor Debanjan Banerjee to speak on today's topic. What are your viewpoints regarding fact, fake, fiction, and what's the role of the fourth estate in that, sir?
First of all, I would like to thank you, Sritani Chakraborty, for selecting such a very interesting topic. You requested me a few days back that we are planning for a webinar, and you have come up with one of the most relevant and the most interesting topic at this critical and crucial juncture. Indeed, since for the last March 25th, I could remember the lockdown started from March 25th, 2020, when everybody is confined at home. Basically, due to this smartphone nowadays, everybody has become a heavy media consumer. So if we divide the consumption of media in terms of moderate consumption, little consumption, and heavy consumption, but since March 25th, we are all confined at our home because of this lockdown, and everybody has become a huge and heavy consumer of media. Everybody is consuming media for more than 12 hours on an average, and even during night, our cell phone is on, and the message is coming, and once we get a message without having any fact check, sometimes we are if the message is in favor of our political color, if we like that particular message, without cross checking the message, we are uploading the message on our respective social media sites, and spreading, disseminating that message, in fact proliferating the message to the whole nation instantly. So the interesting part is, while doing this, we are becoming very irresponsible. And number two is, we are not that much of media literate also. Everybody is a consumer, media consumer, but very less number of media consumers are media literate. As a matter of fact, we are excited, and we are sending and we're sharing things on our social media messages, and which is practically creating a huge problem, because the situation is extremely grim when we are dealing with a pandemic which has ransacked the whole world, across the world. No country is untouched. Almost more than 150 countries across the world is affected. Huge number of casualties have taken place, even in India also, even in our state also. So try to understand this this situation is very delicate, very intricate situation. So while sharing about this pandemic, whether it is the political part of the pandemic, whether the biological part of the pandemic, whether it is about the casualties, whether about the remedies, whether about the government actions, whether about the lockdown information, whatever it is, it's extremely important. So it is high time that this kind of webinar is extremely essential and very pertinent to aware the public that please don't spread this kind of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation to public, by which it can jeopardize the situation to a great extent. So I can tell that definitely this is the time to check the news. Fact should get priority, not the fake, and the media is playing a pivotal role. And being a media consumer, we have to be also responsible to help media, by which things cannot going to become extremely detrimental for the mass by disseminating such news.
Okay, thank you, Professor Banerjee. Since you have very succinctly raised the topic and you have elongated upon this entire notion of, you have actually brought in a very distinguished part of the duty that every citizen must pursue in order not to spread and not to falsify more as far as the news is concerned. But then I would like to talk to Professor Shoykot Majumdar in this direction, that what about this fictional thing that is made? And in that case, if the fourth estate is just also talking about the consumerism part, it is the consuming of the news, it's the consumption of the news, it's about the consumer part of the news, then what exactly is the fourth estate doing that? Is it the preservation of the facts? Is it the reservation of the facts? Is it the dissemination of the facts? What exactly does the fourth estate do? What exactly is the fourth estate doing in that connection? About fake news, or about creating fiction, or about glorifying what exactly is the true news? How do we know that?
Firstly, I would like to thank Shritoni for inviting me in this panel and choosing a very, very relevant topic, as my friend Professor Debanjan Banerjee has already mentioned, that this is such a relevant topic in today's time. I would just like to give us very small statistics to begin with, that in India now, 376 million people, I repeat the figure, 376 million people are social media users. So you can imagine that number, the spread of this kind of information, as Professor Banerjee was saying, misinformation, disinformation, whatever. Above all, it is information, mis or dis. It is spreading like just spreading like bonfire. So what, Shritoni, ma'am, you have asked me that what fourth estate role is. Actually, the fourth estate, as we mentioned about, it is called the watchdog of the society. But unfortunately, we are all from media background. Me, Professor Debanjan Banerjee, Madam Rumela is also here. We are all either present or at a point of time were in media. So the media, the role of media, it is a very relevant topic, and very much discussion has been made regarding this, that what should be the role of media. Actually, unfortunately, the media is playing a role which I am not saying that all the media or every time media is playing the role, but often media is playing a role which the media should not play. In fact, as I have given that information or given that statistics, that 76 million people are using social media. So social media is something which is almost uncontrollable now. So the mainstream media has much more or a greater responsibility right now to spread proper information without much bonus, keeping bonus on it. But the thing is, as you have said, that it's a world of consumers, and everything is consumed. Even news, even information is consumed. So whenever there is a consumerism comes into the media fraternity, the consumerism is playing a major role. The thing is, the media, the mainstream media is also thinking about that consumerism and what the consumers will love. So in that way, if misinformation or disinformation, even if I do not mention misinformation or disinformation, some deterioration of quality in news presentation, or I should say much more dramatization or too much of dramatization of news is posing a big threat to us. In fact, I'm giving a very small example. I suppose all of you, those who were my fellow panelists and Sritonni, our host of this evening, and all the viewers who are watching this program will be of the same opinion like me, that this 3 months lockdown period or this period of corona threat, COVID-19 threat, has a has cast us big spell of depression on many people, a large number of people. And the experts are saying, and the study has proved, that this depression is not caused by COVID-19 alone, but about the spread of the information, too much of information or too dramatized information regarding this COVID-19. So COVID-19 is not the only reason. Too much of COVID-19 related information, too much dramatized presentation information is doing the harm. In fact, many people, in fact, experts are saying that you avoid this kind of news or information.
I think somehow Professor Mojumdar got disconnected. I think there is some technical glitch on the part of Professor Shoykot Mojumdar, though we have questions in between. We are just waiting for him to resume in between. I'll just move on to Rumela Madam this evening. Ma'am, just taking a cue from what Professor Majumdar has already said, we talked about the consumer part, we talked about the role of media. A specific coinage that was used there was about the watchdog principle, the watchdog, or how media is working as the watchdog. So do you think in that case there is some form of disengagement on the part of media also, or lack of responsibility at some parts, where to check, where to prevent, and which information to pass on to be consumed? That is also the question.
Thank you, Shritanvi, for inviting me to this webinar. And both Mr. Majumdar and Professor Banerjee did mention some of the very pertinent points. Since you're asking me about the responsibility of media, I'll get to that. Before that, let me just tell you that, mainstream media and social media, all three shouldn't be clubbed together. So what we see these days is that, anybody and everybody can create a YouTube channel for themselves, compile some pieces of information and give them out. So they do look authentic as well. And social media users, netizens, they obviously believe in whatever is being shared. At least a chunk of the netizens, regular netizens, believe in what is being doled out to them, and accordingly they share it. So I think, as you said rightly, that media of course has a huge responsibility, but then this part of the media that we're talking about, they shouldn't be clubbed with the mainstream media. So you'll find n number of channels these days. Every person is a news person these days. Let's just call them information outlets. So basically, this is where we need to keep a check, even the ones who are using them. When you find a piece of information, a sensational piece of information, first thing that we do as social media users is that share it with our friends, relatives, instead of fact checking. So I think that is somewhere we are lacking in. Like, what we can at least do is type in the keywords and find out if 2-3 mainstream media have carried that piece of news. If not, I don't think we should be sharing it. Having said that, if you're talking about the role of media, that's true. A lot of sensationalism is doing the rounds. Many mainstream media are also giving out unimportant and clickbait news and unimportant news. It's a two-way road, I'd say. If you ask the media houses, they'll be like, our clickbait headlines are the ones that gets the hits. More people are interested in them. And often what you see is that people, they would take to the comment section to bash up these news channels, these news outlets, and these pieces of information. But even that is a reaction. So basically, if somebody is being irresponsible and giving out that information, the best thing would be to ignore that piece of news, which I understand is not possible. People do react. Some of this is actually given out to instigate people. So I think there has to be responsibility on both ends. At most, what we can do is that, check. There are a few outlets now like Alt News, and PIB has a page of them, like of its own, on Insta, on Twitter. So, they regularly bust myths and regularly tell the netizens that this is not true, this is not fact. But then the damage is done mostly by then, because what we mostly do is that as soon as we get an information, we tend to share it immediately, give it out. And this rush to give out the news first is also hampering the quality of news, as my fellow panelist has also mentioned. So there also, a gatekeeper system has to work. Like, it's not always about giving out news first. It's about giving out authentic news as well. So yeah, there has to be a balance. What I would request to all netizens out there who are listening today, that, don't jump on the bandwagon and immediately share a piece of news that you've come across. Just see, if 2-3 mainstream media houses have also carried it, if there has been, also just don't go by the headline. Go through the news article, see if the news article has been attributed to a credible source or not. Only then, if you feel that, okay, yeah, this makes sense, go ahead and share. And if it is too sensational and, religious stuff that can actually instigate people, do not share them. I mean, be a little more responsible. That's all.
Shritoni, I practically completely...
I'll just move on to Debanjan sir. Yes, Professor Banerjee. Yes.
Yes. Thing is that, first of all, I'm seconding both Shoykot sir and Rumela ma'am, because Shoykot sir told about the sensationalization of news and its dramatic presentation, and Rumela ma'am spoke about the responsibility of the netizens, that what exactly we are spreading among the public. The problem is, it is not only the problem of the netizens. Definitely, they are not media literate. But the problem is, Shoykot sir specifically mentioned the watchdog. Unfortunately, yes, the watchdog has...
Exactly my question. How is media acting as the watchdog?
Unfortunately, this watchdog has become a lapdog. Even at this critical juncture, some of the news sites, some of the channels wants to glorify some political color. Some of the channels, some of the newspapers, some of the leading websites, web version of the different newspapers, they want to demean one particular political party or even country, when the country is also involved in case of this pandemic. This is very unfortunate. So first of all, the source where I'm getting the news, I need to check it. As a teacher of media, teaching for the last 15 years, and before that I was a professional. So I am requesting all the netizens, because once you are getting a story, it is not your hand, because what story you are getting from one particular site or a particular channel or a particular newspaper, because that is absolutely their editorial policy. You cannot alter or modify their editorial policy. You are not in a position to change their editorial policy. But what exactly you can do, you need to cross check it. First thing you need to consider, I'm just giving in terms of points. Being a netizen, you have to be very cautious while consuming the news. Once you consume the news, if you want to spread this news to some of your friends, relatives, students or acquaintances or your colleagues, you need to cross-check few things. Number one is what exactly Rumela ma'am right now mentioned. Consider the source to understand the mission and purpose of the news. Number one. Number two is read beyond the headline. What exactly Rumela ma'am mentioned, read beyond the headline to understand the whole story. You often find there's a huge ambiguity between the headline and the content.
Exactly.
Number three is check the authors to see if they're the real and credible. At this point of time, anyone can book a domain in one day. Next day, he can come up with stories, uploading the stories with some beautiful designs, and make it presented in such a way by which people can understand this is a very authentic news website. So it is your responsibility to check the authors to see if they are real and credible. Point number 4 is assess the supporting sources. Take for example, if I get a news about the recent big controversies going on, that how many casualties took place in Galwan, in the Chinese side. So Indian army is claiming that 43 Chinese killed. Some sources claim 30. So if you get a news like this, where the news is very controversial,
and every day we are getting different numbers.
Exactly.
Every day we are getting different.
Very sensitive, very sensitive in terms of this casualties. This in the Sino-Indian clash is going on in the border in Ladakh. So in that case, it is our responsibility. If I get a news from one X site, I need to check it from another Y site or Z site or N site, and all these sites, if all the sites are saying the same story, then definitely it is more or less authentic. Not only that, we are in a position at this point of time that we can access net, we can check to any of the leading news agency site. Take for example, right now Rumela ma'am is doing this, and she's working in Press Trust of India. So if we can cross check India Today story from the same story that has been extracted from PTI, AP or Reuters, maybe in case of Reuters and AP, they can give some third-party view because they're the foreign news agencies. But if I can check it from PTI, so in that case, maybe we are in a position to disseminate some authentic news. Point number 4 is check the date of publication to see if the story is relevant and up to date. You often find some shares are omnipresent at this point of time, that if somebody is fond of one particular political party and he wants to demean someone, he chooses some particular story, which story is a very backdated story. Maybe it's a story of 2015, and he's posting the story to create some problem with other his opponents. Next is ask if it is a joke to determine if it is meant to be satire. Sometimes we are kidding someone, and we can share something like in this Facebook and in this WhatsApp era. In this WhatsApp university era, you often find some jokes, and the jokes are often being posted by someone. Then review your own bias. That is one of the biggest ever challenge for us, because everybody is to an extent biased. But try to understand that while disseminating the news, while consuming the news, and while disseminating the news, try to eradicate the bias part. And the last one is, if you are going to disseminate some very sensitive news, ask experts. And 2 things are very important, which Rumela ma'am mentioned right now. Even Shoikat sir also mentioned, especially Rumela mentioned, that some news are extremely delicate, and this can become detrimental and fatal for the society. For example, any religious conflict. Religious conflict means it can lead to blasphemy. So any news which can lead to blasphemy or any religious harm, we need to very much cautious. I could remember one biggest ever example I can give right now, that in this lockdown phase, there was a clash took place in Howrah. And because somebody wanted to violate this lockdown, and somebody registered, and the police came up, and there is a problem took place, the curfew imposed. Unfortunately, in the next day, not only next day, within couple of hours, we got some videos, fake videos. These videos are not at all dealing with the Howrah story. Some old stories, some stories of other parts of the country, even some not only in India's story, India's footage, some foreign countries' problem, this kind of clash, which is being put up on the social media sites to create some.
Cases, sir, I would like to add that in major cases there have been superimpositions as well regarding the new
doctored video,
Yeah.
So these blasphemous things, and one is a seditious thing, which is basically going to harm the country. So this kind of sensitive news, we need to check all these 8 points as a netizen, because we have no hold over the media companies. They have their own editorial policy. They will try to fit the way they write the story. Even sometimes Rumela in a good position to say, I can also share my experience while working in Times Internet Limited, indiatimes.com. What we used to get the news feed. I could remember that very interesting story of that 1999 when this Kandahar incident took place. We used to take feed
Exactly.
from AFP. Mostly we used to take from AFP, Agence France Presse, because they had a headquarter in Hong Kong. So they started giving the feed as Pakistan occupied Kashmir POK and Indian occupied Kashmir IOK. And the dreaded terrorist, according to government of India, but according to Pakistani government, he was a Muslim cleric responsible for this hijack. Interestingly, in many of the, I've seen many of the sites, they rewrite this AFP story without changing the copyright. They have written AFP story. When in the bottom hand, it is written sources AFP. It is written as Masood Azhar is a dreaded Pakistani terrorist is responsible, and the copyright is giving AFP. So what happened within 10 to 15 minutes? 10,000 mail came from different parts of the world, especially from the Pakistan. Netizens, the people who are from Pakistan, some of the other Muslim countries, they objected, is it the view of AFP? So immediately AFP intervened. So it is this handling this web content is a very, very serious thing. We have to be extremely cautious. And during this pandemic phase, we are practically 80% of our media consumption is this web. So this is my take about this issue, that we have to be very much cautious while disseminating such kind of news.
Okay.
Also, I would like to touch upon another point. One is that misinformation and disinformation are slightly different. One is that sometimes what happens in a rush to give out news, news channels, newspapers, agencies, they give out wrong information, okay, which is not deliberate.
Yes.
They found out from some sources who've misled them, and they give out wrong information, for which in most cases, in 90% cases from what I have experienced, is that they give out an apology, later a corrigendum that, so and so information have been carried wrongly and we apologize for a mistake. That is different. Disinformation is something different. That is being done deliberately. Okay, that is being done with an agenda in mind. And that is being done by media houses, as well as, as I said, some information outlets, some single individuals also, with some political agenda or some other agenda. So there's a difference between the two, and the two shouldn't be clubbed together again. Also, there's another thing, that is half truth. Sometimes what we are giving out is not entirely wrong, not entirely true. So, again, I'll get back to the same solution. Whatever it is, like if you're reading, if it, sometimes if it tallies with our mindset, what we would like to believe, if it reinforces our belief, we tend to share them even faster. If it doesn't, then generally we brand them as fake or biased. That is how it is with most of us, human psychology. But if you have found something, which does match your sensibilities, your opinion, your way of thinking, it's fine. I mean, you might go ahead and share them, but again, check with 2-3 more news outlets to find out, if they too have the same version of the story. They might have a different version of the story. Each of us have to be, responsible in our own sweet way to make sure that misinformation, disinformation, whatever, do not get disseminated just like that.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Professor Banerjee, for your insightful comments. We are getting questions in between, but as and when we were listening, we just came to know two of the things that actually came to us very clearly. Two of you spoke about a particular political agenda that might be there. There can be a very bleak possibility. There cannot be a possibility, so questions can arise. So my question is, in that case, can we actually talk about that fact that a media is apolitical in any sense? So if we are talking about this political backup, political agenda, in that case, can there be any form of media? We actually have been discussing print media, we discussed visual media, we talked about social media to a large extent. So can there be any point where it can be apolitical, where there cannot be any backup as such? One. Second question that we are also having from some of our visitors who are right now watching the show. This is a specific question that has been pointed to Professor Shoykot Mojumdar. So media is now working as a sales representative of corporates. When we talk about the consumerism part, when we talk about feeding on what news and creating news buzz, creating news feed, consumerism of news. So one will be the political question that comes in between. Second will be the sensation that is corporate created, or rather the media, the fourth estate, is it acting as a kind of not just a watchdog, but as Professor Banerjee said, it's a lapdog in the hand of the corporates?
Yeah, thanks, Ritoni. And to answer these questions, I will take a cue from what Rumela has just said. That there is a very, very, very distinctive difference between misinformation and disinformation. Misinformation, as she has explained already, that it is a mistake by when you are running with the time, when you are trying to beat the clock on the wall to give the news to your consumer, to your reader, to your viewer, then mistake might happen. That is misinformation, which might go to the reader or the viewer. But disinformation is something which is very deliberate, which is very intentional. In fact, we can resort to our old epic for this disinformation. One of the earliest disinformation of history, I suppose all the guests, all the panelists and our host, you all know, and all the viewers of this program also know. আমি একটু বাংলায় বলি, সবাই মহাভারতের গল্প জানেন, তো অশ্বত্থামা হত ইতি গজ, এই যে সবাই ব্যাপারটা জানেন, এই যে অশ্বত্থামা হত ইতি গজ, this was perhaps one of the earliest example of disinformation. মানে এটা একটা পার্টিকুলার উদ্দেশ্য নিয়েই বলা হয়েছিল। যারা মহাভারত সবাই পড়েছেন আশা করি, সবাই যে গল্পটা জানেন, সেটা একটা পার্টিকুলার উদ্দেশ্য নিয়ে বলা হয়েছিল। এবং অশ্বত্থামা কে ছিলেন সেটা না বলে অশ্বত্থামা হত বলা হয়েছিল। এখন যে নিউজ প্রেজেন্টেশন আমরা দেখছি চারদিকে, তার একটা বড় অংশ এই অশ্বত্থামা হত ইতি গজ ফর্মুলায় চলছে। And unfortunately, which is not the duty, which is not the responsibility of the mainstream media. My friend Debanjan was referring about he has given very useful 7-8 points, which is directly connected to a particular term which we use, that is called media literacy. A media literacy, what is media literacy? Now, I am not going to explain what is media literacy. This is not the stage to do that. What I mean to say that now it has become very difficult for the consumers. I am deliberately using the word consumer instead of reader or viewer. This has become difficult for the consumer to find out which is misinformation, which is disinformation, and which is actually a proper information.
Can there be disguised information as well? Can there be a disguised information as well?
Absolutely.
When we are talking about misinformation, when we are talking about disinformation, disguised information bolte kichu pawa jay ki, mane amra jokhon আমরা বলি যে খাচ্ছি, it's consumerism, so it's about the edible structure, আমরা কোনটা খেতে পছন্দ করছি। So এখানে disinformation, disguised information, half truth. I would thank Rumela madam for the same thing. So when she was talking about this disguised, or rather the half truth, mane I can actually take a cue from one of the studies that we have, Macbeth. When we talk about Macbeth, we have the witches who are speaking equivocally, who are talking in quibbles.
Sritoni, hello.
Yes, what is
এইটা এক্স্যাক্টলি এর আরেকটা উত্তর আছে, যেটা আমরা এতক্ষণ আলোচনা করলাম, যে উই আর টকিং অ্যাবাউট মিসইনফরমেশন এন্ড ডিসইনফরমেশন। অ্যাপার্ট ফ্রম দিস টু, আরেকটি ইনফরমেশন আছে যেটা তুমি বলতে চাইছো, যেটা আমার সৈকত স্যারও বললেন এইমাত্র, অশ্বত্থামা হত ইতি গজ। মানে এখানে ঘটনাটি সত্যি, কিন্তু এমন ভাবে তার প্রেজেন্টেশনটা হলো, সেটাকে আমরা এমন ভাবে উপস্থাপনা করলাম যাতে সত্যটাকে পাশ কাটিয়ে গেলাম, অথচ মিথ্যে বলা যাবে না। এটাকে বলা হয় ম্যাল ইনফরমেশন। আমরা যদি মিডিয়ার হিসেবে বলি ম্যাল ইনফরমেশন, দ্যাট মিনস ইন কেস অফ ম্যাল ইনফরমেশন, দ্য ইনফরমেশন ইজ ট্রু, বাট দ্য ওয়ে ইট প্রেজেন্টেড intend to harm or to suppress something by which I would like to save something or to bypass something. যেটা সৈকত স্যার বললেন যে একেবারেই নির্ভুল বলেছেন, যে একদম অশ্বত্থামা হত ইতি গজই এখন সমস্ত চ্যানেলে আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি। মানে সত্যিটাকে কিভাবে, আমার মনে আছে আমি 2-3টে ঘটনা বলতে পারি। নন্দীগ্রামে যখন গুলি চলছিল তখন কোন একটি চ্যানেলে রাশিয়ান সার্কাস দেখানো হয়েছিল। আবার কোন আরেকটি ঘটনা, উল্টো ঘটনায় আরেকটি ঘটনা ঘটেছে, আরেকটি রাজনৈতিক দলকে বাঁচানোর জন্য অন্য একটা জিনিস দেখানো হচ্ছে। তার মানে আমি সত্যটাকে দেখাতে গেলে আর কিছু করার নেই, আমাকে দেখাতেই হবে। এবং দেখাতে গেলে ওই যে বললে তুমি যে মিডিয়া কর্পোরেটিভ সেলস রিপ্রেজেন্টেটিভ হয়ে গেছে, এটা তো সত্যি তাই। ঘটনা দুটো শব্দ বলতে হয়, একটা হচ্ছে আনহোলি নেক্সাস, অশুভ আঘাত, মানে বণিকের সাথে রাজার সম্পর্কের মধ্যে একটা অশুভ ব্যাপার থাকেই। এখানে মিডিয়া যারা চালাচ্ছেন তারা বণিক, আর পলিটিক্যাল পার্টিরা রাজা, এবং তাদের এজেন্ডাটাকে যেন মিডিয়াকে দিয়ে আমাদের সবাইকে বলতে হবে, যেটা আমাদের মিডিয়াতে পড়িয়ে থাকি ছাত্রছাত্রীদের। অল স্টুডেন্টস অলসো নো দ্য এজেন্ডা সেটিং থিওরি। সো দিস এজেন্ডা ইজ ফিক্সড and this agenda is forced on you, imposed on you, somehow you have to consume. আমি আরেকটা ছোট্ট উদাহরণ দিয়ে শেষ করছি, সেটা বলছি যে সত্যজিৎ বাবু তার বিখ্যাত ছবি গণশত্রুতে বেশ কয়েকবার দেখিয়েছেন, এর থেকে বড় আনহোলি নেক্সাসের গল্প আর কিছু হতে পারে না। আমি যারা ভিউয়ার প্রত্যেককে বলছি, প্লিজ ওয়াচ দিস মুভি এনিমি অফ দ্য পিপল, গণশত্রু বাই সত্যজিৎ রায়। এই ছবিতে উনি পরিষ্কার দেখিয়েছেন একটি ধর্মীয় ভাবাবেগকে সম্বল করে যেখানে কারাপশন হচ্ছে, যেখানে জলটা বিষাক্ত হয়ে গেছে, অথচ সেই জলটাকে চরণমৃত্যু বলে খাওয়ানো হচ্ছে একটি পার্টিকুলার ছোট শহরের প্রত্যেক ভক্তদের। এবং যখন ডাক্তারবাবু প্রমাণ করছেন যে জলটা বিষাক্ত হয়ে গেছে, তখন মিডিয়াকে কভার করতে বলছে, মিডিয়া সেটা কভার করতে চাইছে, কিন্তু আলটিমেটলি মেয়র সেটা বাধা দিচ্ছেন। সুতরাং এই জিনিস সারা পৃথিবীতে রয়েছে, যেখানে there is an unholy nexus between the corporate and our power corridor. This power corridor can be political, it can be anything.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. আমরা তিনটে জিনিস নিয়ে ডিসকাস করেছি। হ্যাঁ, I'll come to Professor Mojumdar. Just one thing that I would like to add. The three things that we have been discussing till now, fake, fact, fourth state আমরা ডিসকাস করেছি। Fiction creation, গল্প বানানো, weaving a fiction, weaving a story. So what is your take on that? Is this fact leaning towards more into creating fiction instead of presenting the news? In that case, since we are all general people, since we are not from media, we are not understanding the nitty-gritty of how the things are presented, who is tampering with the news, and how is this entire process done. So সেইখানে আমাদের কাছে যেটা আসছে, is it fact or fiction? How to check that credibility? We talk about the sources, we have talked about the sources. How far we can go for checking the credibility? মানে how do we know it's not a fiction?
Thank you, Sritoni. Actually, যেটা আমি আগেও বলেছি, this is becoming very a dicey situation for the readers and the viewers. ওই যে একটা বাংলায় একটা কথা আছে, দুধ থেকে জলটা আলাদা করা। এই দুধ থেকে জল আলাদা করা বা vice versa, জল থেকে দুধটা আলাদা করে নেওয়া, this has become very difficult for the general viewers or readers. Firstly, I'd like to mention 2 points. Number one is what Debanjan sir has just said, যে এই কনজিউমারিজম বা এই যে একটা ওনারশিপ, এই মিডিয়া ওনারশিপের ব্যাপারটা একটা বিরাট ব্যাপার, একটা very important, it has becoming very important. We are what we are discussing, or what general people are discussing, what general viewers or general readers are saying, the point of accusation is going towards the media people. But actually, the journalists, we are also belonging to that same journalism fraternity. It has become difficult for journalists as well, because the media ownership is the point to taken care of. When, as for example, I am saying, suppose Sritoni, you were তোমার লিট ইনফিনিটি জার্নাল, এটা যদি তোমার, say for instance it's a daily paper or a daily news channel, and I am a journalist, or Debanjan sir or Rumela is a journalist working for your channel or newspaper. Now, can we write something, or can we show something which might go against you, or can we write or can we show something which will not help you in anything to achieve? We cannot. Because we are bound to do something which you are telling us. So this is one point I want to one point I want to show to all the viewers of this program, that we should not blame the journalist. Journalists are doing their job, but this is one of the I should say this is এটা মানে আমি বলবো যে বাধ্য হয়ে this is one of the system oriented system that is enforcing the journalist to present something in such a way, write something in such a way that it is carrying some different meaning. So number one point is that. Second is that what you were mentioning about fiction, this is related to the first point, that fiction is being created. Amra jokhon we are the news persons, amra boli we are writing stories. Actually the stories mean news stories. In journalism the story term is there. Jara amader dorshokder moddhe jara জার্নালিজমের স্টুডেন্ট আছেন বা জার্নালিস্ট যদি কেউ থাকেন, তারা জানবেন যে স্টোরি টার্মটা মিডিয়াতে খুব ইউজ করা হয়। এই স্টোরিটা কি হবে, বা প্লিজ রাইট দিস স্টোরি ইন দিস ওয়ে। দ্য স্টোরি মিনস দ্য কপি, দ্য নিউজ কপি। বাট নাওয়াডেজ ইট ইজ বিকামিং আ স্টোরি ইন দ্য কনভেনশনাল সেন্স। একটা গল্প লেখা হচ্ছে, খবরে লেখার জায়গায় গল্প লেখা হচ্ছে। তার কারণটাও কিন্তু এই কনজিউমার ওরিয়েন্টেড মার্কেট ফার্স্ট and the media ownership, যেটা আমি আগেই মেনশন করেছি। দুটো রিজন মিলে এমন একটা পজিশন আসছে, the journalist is being forced to write a story, a fictitious story instead of a news story. I suppose Professor Debanjan and Rumela ma'am will support this view.
Absolutely.
Most of the time the journalists are writing which they do not want to write. They are writing it because they are bound to write it.
So under the influence of the media house that they're doing. So whether it's from a communal clash to demonetization, it remains the onus of the media house and also to serve the media house in that case. Do we say like that in that case? Are they serving the media house from anything, like say if it's selling up, if it's about the communal clash that we are talking about, if it is about demonetization, if it is about any social impactful thing that we are talking about, তাহলে কি আমরা journalist as an individual আমরা সেখানে দেখছি না? It's about all the serving the end of the media house. That is what we are aiming at.
To an extent, absolutely like this. So this is a very unfortunate part. The first of thing, we are practically the newsman. News means it is not fiction, it is non-fiction. Whatever you see, whatever you witness, you need to narrate this in 5 Ws, nowadays 3 Ws and 1 H. You need to kill the curiosity of your readers exactly from an unbiased point of view. But on the contrary, what happens nowadays, the news is going to become a fiction. এখন সন্ধ্যাবেলা যে চ্যানেলগুলো দেখানো হয়, অধিকাংশ চ্যানেল, আমি চ্যানেলের নাম বলছি না, আমার তো দেখে মনে হয় কোনো ওই বিজ্ঞাপনদাতা দ্বারা প্রচারিত একটা সোপ অপেরা দেখছি। কোনো একটা পার্টিকুলার অ্যাঙ্কার কোনো একটা রাজনৈতিক দল বা কোনো একটা যে কোনো কিছু রংকে গ্লোরিফাই করার চেষ্টা করে যাচ্ছে, তার মধ্যে ভীষণ নাটক রয়েছে, তার মধ্যে নন ফিকশন ইনগ্রেডিয়েন্ট কম, পুরোটাই ফিকশনাল এবং পুরোটাই ড্রামা করে নাটক করে লোককে রংলি ইনফ্লুয়েন্স করার চেষ্টা করা হচ্ছে। ফলে নিউজের ক্ষেত্রে
সাপ্রেশন অফ ট্রুথ হচ্ছে কি সেই জায়গাটায় ভীষণ ভাবে সাপ্রেশন অফ ট্রুথের জায়গাটা চলে আসছে।
সাপ্রেশন অফ ট্রুথ শুধু নয়, মিথ্যে বলা হচ্ছে। সাপ্রেশন অফ ট্রুথ তো একটা হলো, সেটা একটা অপরাধ, নিশ্চয়ই অপরাধ, কিন্তু মিথ্যে বলাটা হচ্ছে ক্রিমিনাল অফেন্স। এক্স্যাক্টলি, একদম মিথ্যে বলা হচ্ছে। আমাদের ক্ষেত্রে নিউজের সঙ্গে একটা ফিকশনের ছোট্ট জায়গা আছে, সেটা আমি যারা দর্শক আছে এবং মিডিয়ার ছাত্রছাত্রী আছে এবং যারা ভবিষ্যতে প্রফেশনাল হচ্ছে তাদেরও বলি, সেটা হচ্ছে হ্যাঁ একটা পার্ট আছে, তাকে বলে আমরা ভিউজ বা ওপিনিয়ন পিস। এই ওপিনিয়ন পিসে আমি আমার কিছু বক্তব্য ডেফিনেটলি রাখতে পারি, সেক্ষেত্রে হয়তো নিউজের কে বেস করে আমি আমার কিছু ভিউজ দিতে পারি, বাট নট ডিস্টর্টিং দ্য রিয়েল নিউজ। News is something non-fiction. It cannot be fiction. I cannot put different colors. I cannot make a rainbow of a story and present it. It should be presented in black and white, but the real story is something very different. আমি রুমেলাকে অনুরোধ করছি, বিকজ ও এমন একটা জায়গায় চাকরি করে, সেটা হলো প্রেস ট্রাস্ট অফ ইন্ডিয়া নিউজ এজেন্সি। সেই অর্থে সেই অর্থে হয়তো অতটা কর্পোরেট ইম্পোজিশন ওদের উপর থাকে না। ওরা নিউজ তৈরি করে বা ওদের সাংবাদিকরা নিউজ লেখে, যে নিউজটা ভারতবর্ষ কেন পৃথিবীর অনেক খবরের কাগজ, চ্যানেল এবং ওয়েবসাইট কেনে। ও এই জায়গায় অত্যন্ত ভালো জায়গায় বলতে পারবে যে ওদের ক্ষেত্রে কতটা ওরা স্বাধীনতা পায় এই নিউজটা যখন লেখার ক্ষেত্রে, ইন এনি কন্ট্রোভার্সিয়াল ইস্যু।
Rightly asked, Debanjan sir. Basically, as both of you have mentioned, both of my fellow panelists have mentioned, যে একটা pressure to থাকে, there is a pressure always, you know, which mostly the editors fend off. They're the ones who decide on the policies. Doesn't trickle down to us. We only get to know the decisions as of now, like the position that I am in right now. So for news, I completely agree that, you know, there is sensationalization and dramatization. I think one of the reasons is because, you know, there's not always so much happening around, but then a news channel runs 24/7. So like they resort to such sensationalization, dramatization to keep the program going. It's their bread and butter. Having said that, yeah, I mean, if you're talking about news agencies, then the pressure probably is not as much as it is on a newspaper or a television channel. But then not quite so always. It's a news agency end of the day, and we are giving out news. We have our own Twitter handles, we have our own Facebook pages, like all news agencies that I'm talking about. So they too also have to keep catering to, you know, keep feeding the netizens and the consumers. So that way what happens is that, you know, sometimes, just sometimes, maybe a news could be said in 3 paras, maybe it's stretched to 5 paras, maybe there's some color added to it. But then again, as I said, like that's how it is, like that's the reality, and cribbing about it won't take us anywhere. And it's a two-way road, as I said, like people are actually consuming it and they are being fed. So the day people stop consuming it, probably media houses will also stop feeding extra information, irrelevant information. As far as colored information is considered, as in you know, biased information and all, yeah, that's very much there and rightly mentioned as unholy nexus. Again, that influence is there. Like when we were studying journalism, we were told, like, you know, every media house has to be objective, like journalism is about objectivity. But then now that we are working here, we kind of realize that, you know, objectivity is almost a thing of the past. Then again, not everybody, not every media house gives in, not every media house, you know, creates or cooks up stories and feeds their consumers. Here and there it's there, but then you know, the whole of media should not be brought under one bracket or should not be tagged as biased. Like every profession, there are pros and cons in this profession also. Like take any profession, every profession has its hazards. It's just that not every profession impacts our everyday life. We are more concerned about media because, you know, we go through media feed every now and then. Now especially when we are all locked down, we are always online, and these news articles do impact us, so we are concerned. So as I said, like, yeah, media houses too need to be a little more responsible, and news agencies as well as newspapers or television channels, whichever you talk about, they do have some responsibility, and it's high time that, you know, we actually take up that responsibility and act a little more sensitive. You know, this latest episode of Sushant Singh Rajput has been an eye-opener. You know, so much has been doing the rounds. Half the people don't even know what is true, what to believe and what not to. But then since there's a hype going on, almost every you know, news outlets are giving out something or the other. Sometimes it's extremely irrelevant, sometimes it's unnecessary, sometimes it's very insensitive given the fact that that man is no more. But then again, people wouldn't stop talking about these people, like celebrities or whatever, not just this particular case, any celebrity, any sensational piece, people wouldn't stop talking or sharing such information. So there are several media houses who actually cash in on that opportunity and keep feeding people such news. It's a vicious cycle, I can say. But then each of us have to act to, if we are actually serious about stopping it.
I will take one question. Before we started with the program, we already have our Lit Infinite Journal WhatsApp group, and we gave this notification for today's program. The WhatsApp group একটা খুব interesting question এসছে. This actually goes on to all of you who are present here. Mitrokin Archive নিয়ে. Mitrokin Archive is a collection of handwritten notes which were made secretly. This is a question posted by Ashutosh Poddar from Howrah. The Mitrokin Archive is a collection of handwritten notes made secretly by KGB archivist Vasily Mitrokin, who was in Foreign Intelligence Service and the first chief directorate. According to the KGB files, by 1973, it had 10 Indian newspapers on its payroll, and during 1972, the KGB claimed to have planted 3789 articles in Indian newspapers to established Communist Party in India. So the question that has been asked by Ashutosh in relation to this Mitrokin archive, fake news and articles in newspapers can convince people to decide their vote. Political parties and government, they are using such media as a tool to promote their business, going back to history, archives, selling news, coming back, creating sensation, bringing back from the graves. What will be your answer?
Should I tell first or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
First of all, yes, there is no doubt, Ashutosh, that yes, again, I'm coming to the core point, the unholy nexus, this unholy nexus in a very broader perspective. The file you have mentioned is a very, very sensitive file. Apart from this file, I am mentioning another very interesting file, which has been exposed just 2 years back about the death of our late Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri, the famous Tashkent files. Interestingly, yes, even the movies also made. Our Mithun Chakraborty also played one of the leading role. So interestingly, yes, when sometimes this nexus is micro one, sometimes the nexus is macro, and when somebody wants to grab the nation, when somebody wants to completely change the bilateral relations between the two countries, when the main ploy is to convert one country's foreign policy into the another one. I can tell you a little bit of a slight bit of information about international relations. During the late Pandit Nehru's regime, India was pro-United States. Exactly, India was always non-aligned. Definitely, there is no point of this, that India is not always pro-Soviet and pro-Americans. But yes, during Nehru's regime, India was to an extent pro-American. What happened? Soviet Union, now it is Russia, on the time it was USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republic. So they wanted India's active participation in their bloc, but it was out of compulsion of the government of India, because they cannot enter into the communist regime, which was basically the Warsaw Pact. We all must be knowing, after this Second World War, there was two group has been formed worldwide. One is NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, US, and the West European countries, and the rest is the Soviet Union and the East European bloc. Now, interestingly, Soviet Union had a very big interest, because they wanted to take India in their confidence, by which the Soviet will be able to spread their regime from Soviet Union to Afghanistan, which practically happened in the subsequent time. So what happened during this KGB files? It was revealed that it was a conspiracy. It is really very controversial. I'm sharing right now in the Facebook. I don't know whether it's
very interesting that people are listening and people are posting questions in the WhatsApp group.
Thing is that it is really a very sensitive issue on social media. But still, I being a citizen, being an educator, I have to share this with my friends and my students and the media professionals also. That, like, it was revealed that it was a nexus with one of the leading Congress leader, I'm not mentioning the name, with the Soviet team, and they wanted that, yes, if you can able to give us that India will be co-associated with Soviet Union instead of United States, that your foreign policy has to be drastically changed from pro-US to pro-Soviet. In that case, we will help you. We will help you that you will come into the power. And ultimately, late Shastri was killed in Tashkent, and that death was really controversial. You must be knowing this Tashkent Files. The movie came up. He was died, and ultimately there was no investigations took place after his death. And that particular Congress leader, then she became the Prime Minister of India. And after the crumble of the Soviet Union, this file came out of leakage, because Soviet Union splitted, and there are many countries came up out of this, like this Ukrainian bloc, like Baltic states, like Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, Ukraine, Russia. So naturally, many things was not able to control by that Soviet Communist Party, and ultimately the things came out. So this is the answer is like this: that yes, this unholy nexus is not with a district newspaper and the local corporation mayor, or the prime minister or the president, or else with the chief minister of and with the political chief minister and one particular editor of a newspaper, but it happens to global perspective also. When one country wants to control another country, one country wants to convert one country's foreign policy, by which they can do political business and they can sell weapons, and there's a huge vested interest out of this. So this is the answer, Ashutosh, from my part. I would like my esteemed friends will also give their answers from their perspective.
I suppose Professor Debanjan has already said in details all whatever is said. I can say only just one thing, that this nexus which we were talking about, yes, it was there, it is there, still it is there, and I don't know how long it will be there. But as long as is the nexus, different nexus between these between the power corridor and the media remains, it is not good for the readers at least. In fact, I am repeating the same thing, that it has become very difficult for the consumers, the readers and the viewers, and especially the social media users, that which is right and which is wrong, which is true and which is false, to make it out. Especially it is the age of social media, it is the age of digital platform. So I suppose the younger generation who are present in this program, who are watching this program, they will agree with me that with the last few years teaching experience, I have experienced that this generation, the younger generation, do not read the hard copy of newspapers as we used to. They always prefer the digital platform. Always prefer the digital platform. Now, the digital platform is always a mixed bag. You have the digital version of all the reputed newspapers and television channels. You have some very reputed and established news portals, as well as you have a number of news portals and other platforms in which informations are coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. It's an unending flow of information. Now, it is difficult for the social media users, or especially the younger generation, to make out which is the right information and which is the wrong information. So it is, I'm giving some funny examples. During this 3 months lockdown, during this COVID-19 threat period, we have a number of information, disinformation and misinformation spread in the digital platform. I'm giving one or two examples. We have already found at least nth number of solution to the COVID-19 problem. Sometimes you were asked to take the juice of bitter gourd, uche korolar rosh khele corona shere jabe. From this extent to you take sun bath, or you take some hot steam. We have a number of vaccines already has been discovered. So actually, the flow of information is so much, it is difficult to find out which is the right information, which is the wrong information. In between, it was also spread. I suppose all of you have seen that video, which is I say this is a funny video. In Russia, The Russian president has opened the zoo and allowed the animals to roam on the streets to make people get people inside. যাতে লকডাউনটা কার্যকরী হয় সমস্ত জু অ্যানিমালসদের ছেড়ে দেওয়া হয়েছে, এই ভিডিওটাও বেরিয়ে গিয়েছিল সোশ্যাল মিডিয়ায়। So this kind of stupid videos you come by regularly and you have to choose. So আমি শুধু নেক্সাসের কথা বলবো না, Nexus is always there. As I have said, it was always there, it is there, and it will be there. But not only the Nexus, this flow of misinformation and disinformation are flooding the consumers. So media literacy is not a thing everybody will understand, but the viewers, the readers, the social media users have to use their intellect, have to think before they believe. That's all.
Two to three questions that have actually sprung up. One will be definitely from the perspective of how we see people, how we find people reacting to fake news, fake fact and fiction. Since we have taken this up, it is a simple thing that you all have been discussing, and very succinctly, very elaborated at points, and very succinctly at a major point, where we find people sitting with newspapers right in the morning and yet forwarding fake news right in the other hand. মানে ডান হাতে হয়তো খবরের কাগজটা নিয়ে আছে, সে ক্যাপশন দেখছে, বাঁ হাতে কিন্তু সেই ফেক নিউজটা ফরওয়ার্ড হয়ে চলেছে, মানে সেটা সত্য যাচাই না করে। যে পয়েন্টটা আসতে চাইছি, একটা যেটা তুমি বললে কিনা যে umpteenth number of forwards even before knowing the validity of the news or where it comes from. One. Number two, if we are talking from the perspective of academic circle, if we are talking from the academia, since all three of you talked about your journalism, the academic part now, both Shoykot sir, Debanjan sir, both of you are in academics now, and you talked about the field journalism as well. So is there a definite way of dealing with this particular topic in and beyond academia? Field journalism e ekrokom, academia te ekrokom, erokom perspective ta hobe. How does the perspective differ to both of you? And I'll obviously take this to ma'am as well. In and beyond academia.
Shoykot sir, tell
Debanjan. Okay. Actually,
yes sir.
Debanjan sir, please go ahead.
पहले आप कोचोला स्टाइल.
Okay. The thing is that the question is, see, there is as such no difference. প্রথম বলি, আমাদের যারা আমরা ছাত্রছাত্রীদের পড়াই তারাই তো ভবিষ্যতে সাংবাদিক হবে। এটা তো একটা ভোকেশনাল কোর্স আর প্রফেশনাল কোর্স। এটার সাথে এখানে একাডেমির সাথে ইন্ডাস্ট্রির কোনো বিরোধ নেই, বিরোধ থাকা উচিত না। যত বিরোধ বাড়বে, যত দূরত্ব বাড়বে, সেক্ষেত্রে আমাদের এই সাংবাদিকতা পাঠ্যক্রমটাও অবসলিট হয়ে যাবে। মানে যেখানেই তুমি দেখবে যে সাংবাদিকতার সিলেবাসের সঙ্গে বাস্তবের বিরাট বিভেদ বা ডিফারেন্স তৈরি হয়েছে, সেখানে তো আমি সাংবাদিক তৈরি করতে পারবো না। সুতরাং আমার সিলেবাসটাকে প্রথমত করতে হবে at par with the industry requirements. So basically this kind of courses, we are not making academicians, we are making future professionals. We should treat our students as professional. এটা হচ্ছে প্রথম কথা। সুতরাং প্রথম প্রশ্নের প্রথম পার্টটাই আমি বলি এভাবে যে এখানে বিরোধের জায়গায় নেই, আমি তো সাংবাদিকই তৈরি করতে চাচ্ছি। এবার কেউ ছিটকে সাংবাদিকতার মাস্টারমশাই হয়ে গেল বা অন্য কোনো প্রফেশন হয়ে গেল, সেটা হয়তো 2-3% হতে পারে, কিন্তু আমার মূল উদ্দেশ্য, আমি যখন ছাত্রছাত্রীকে পড়াচ্ছি, আমি তো নিউজ রিপোর্টটাকে ভালো করে কি করে রিপোর্টিং করতে হয় সেটা শুধুমাত্র ওই বইয়ের বা ক্লাসরুমের মধ্যেই রাখছি না। আমি ওদের স্টোরি করতে পাঠাচ্ছি, আমি ওদের একটা খবরের কাগজ বার করার জন্য চেষ্টা করার জন্য, কিভাবে নিউজ রিপোর্ট হয়, কি করে এডিট হয়, কি করে ডিজাইন হয়। চ্যানেলের ক্ষেত্রে সৈকত স্যার টেলিভিশন চ্যানেলে বহুদিন কাজ করেছি, আমি প্রিন্টে কিছুদিন কাজ করেছি, ওয়েবে কাজ করেছি, রুমেলা অনেক প্রিন্টের প্রচুর এক্সপিরিয়েন্স, এখন এজেন্সিতে কাজ করেছি। আমরা সবাই সহমত হব যে আমরা ছাত্রছাত্রীদের তৈরি করছি যে সে নিউজ রিপোর্ট করবে, সে এডিট করবে, ডিজাইন করবে, পাতা বানাবে, একটা কাগজ বার করবে। চ্যানেলের ক্ষেত্রে সে একটা প্যাকেজ বানাবে, সে স্টোরি রিপোর্ট করবে, সে পিসিআর এ বসবে, সে ক্যামেরার সামনে বাইট দেবে, সে অ্যাঙ্কারিং করবে। সুতরাং এখানে বিরোধের কোনো জায়গা নেই। একটাই বক্তব্য হচ্ছে, সেটা হচ্ছে যে আমরা যখন সাংবাদিকতা পড়াচ্ছি, আমাদের প্রথম কাজ হচ্ছে তাদের প্রফেশনাল করা এবং অ্যাট পার উইথ দ্য ইন্ডাস্ট্রি। ফলে তোমার এই প্রশ্নটার আমি ওই অর্থে কোনো রকম উত্তর দিতে পারছি না, বিকজ এখানে বিরোধের জায়গাই নেই। কারণ আমি একজন সাংবাদিকতার মাস্টার মশাই, আমি তাকে সাংবাদিকই করছি। সুতরাং as such there is no difference between from the academic point of view and from the media's point of view. হ্যাঁ, একটা বলা যেতে পারে যে আমি 8টা পয়েন্ট বললাম, যে এই পয়েন্টটা রুমেলার মতো করে বললো, সৈকত স্যারের কথা বললাম, আমি কিছুটা মাস্টার মশাই পার্সপেক্টিভে 8টা থেকে 9টা পয়েন্ট বললাম যে কিভাবে এই ফেক নিউজকে আমরা কাউন্টার করতে পারি, কিভাবে এই মিসইনফরমেশন বা ডিসইনফরমেশনকে থিওরিটিক্যালি আমরা কাউন্টার করতে পারি, কিন্তু থিওরির সঙ্গে সঙ্গে আমাদের প্র্যাকটিক্যাল অ্যাপ্লিকেশনটাও করতে হবে। আমি যখন সকালবেলা খবরের কাগজটা পড়ছি, ওই পুরোনো কথাই ফিরে আসি, ওল্ড ইজ গোল্ড, নিউ ইজ সাসপিশিয়াস। এবং একটা খবরের কাগজ, একটা খবর 3টে কাগজ 3 রকম ভাবে হেডলাইন করছে। আমার মনে আছে সৈকত স্যার আমার সাথে সহমত হবেন, আমরা যখন পড়াশোনা করতাম, আমাদের একজন মাস্টারমশাই, তিনি এখন নেই আমাদের মধ্যে, তিনি আমাদের একটি অত্যন্ত ইন্টারেস্টিং এক্সাম্পল দিয়েছিলেন যে তখন কংগ্রেসের সময় জ্যোতিবাবু মুখ্যমন্ত্রী ছিলেন। সৈকত মনে আছে হয়তো অসীম বাবুর সেই বিখ্যাত উক্তি, ওই 4টে হেডলাইন দিয়ে বলে, একজন ভদ্রলোক, তিনি প্রবাসী বাঙালি, তিনি দিল্লিতে বসে 4টে বাংলা কাগজ নেন। কাগজটা নেওয়ার আগের দিন, তার আগের দিন দ্রব্যমূল্য বৃদ্ধির প্রতিবাদে কলকাতাতে একটা বিক্ষোভ হয়। সেই বিক্ষোভে পুলিশ লাঠি চালায়, টিয়ার গ্যাস ছোড়ে, একজন মারা যায় কংগ্রেস, তখন তৃণমূল হয়নি। তা 4টে কাগজ 4 রকম হেডলাইন করছে। জ্যোতিবাবু পরের দিন দিল্লি যাওয়ার কথা ছিল প্ল্যানিং কমিশনের একটা ইম্পর্টেন্ট মিটিং এ, উনি যেতে পারেননি, কারণ হচ্ছে ওই কংগ্রেসি বিক্ষোভের জন্য। 2 নম্বর, ওটা শীতকাল ছিল, ফলে কুয়াশার জন্য এরোপ্লেনটাও ধরতে পারেননি। উনি পরের দিন ট্রেনে করে রাজধানীতে হাওড়া পৌঁছবেন এবং ট্রেনে করে দিল্লি যাবেন। ওই হাওড়া দেখবে রাজধানী বিকেল 4টের সময় ছাড়ে, ওই ফিক্স টাইম আছে এখনো হাওড়া রাজধানী। তো যাই হোক, ওই যাওয়ার পথে কংগ্রেসি বিক্ষোভ ওকে আটকায় হাওড়া স্টেশনের আগে। তো 4টে কাগজ 4টে রকম হেডলাইন করেছে। কাগজ নম্বর 1, আনন্দবাজার, হেডলাইনটা এরকম, সৈকত ভালো জানবে, ও আমি আরো জানি, আমরা ছাত্র হিসেবে আমাদের স্যার শেয়ার করেছিলেন যে প্রথম আনন্দবাজার ভদ্রলোক উল্টে দেখছেন হেডলাইন, কংগ্রেসি আচরণে জনরোষের মুখে বসু শোল্ডার, আর তলার হেডলাইনটা হচ্ছে উদ্ধত বসু দিল্লি গেলেন না। শোল্ডারটা আরেকবার বলছি, জনরোষের মুখে বসু মানে জ্যোতি বসু, তলার মেইন হেডলাইন উদ্ধত বসু কমা দিল্লি গেলেন না। কাগজ নম্বর 2, একটি রাজনৈতিক দলের মুখপাত্র, তার হেডলাইন উচ্ছৃঙ্খল জনতার আক্রমণে জ্যোতি বসু রাজ্যের স্বার্থের গুরুত্বপূর্ণ মিটিং এ দিল্লি যেতে পারলেন না। আবার বলছি, উচ্ছৃঙ্খল কংগ্রেসি আচরণের জন্য রাজ্যের স্বার্থে গুরুত্বপূর্ণ মিটিং এ বসু দিল্লি যেতে পারলেন না। আজকাল আরেকটি কাগজ, সেই সময় আজকালের ওই এডিটোরিয়াল পলিসিটা কিছুটা বাম ঘেঁষা ছিল, ওদের হেডলাইনটা ওই সেরকম, বসুর পক্ষে হেডলাইন উচ্ছৃঙ্খল কংগ্রেসি আচরণে জনজীবন বিপর্যস্ত, রাজ্য বঞ্চিত হলো, বসু দিল্লি যেতে পারলেন না, অনেকটা এরকমই। শেষে বর্তমান, আরেকটি বাংলা সংবাদপত্র, এবং বর্তমানের এডিটোরিয়াল পলিসিটা তখন একেবারেই অ্যান্টি এস্টাবলিশমেন্ট ছিল, অ্যান্টি এস্টাবলিশমেন্টের যে ক্ষমতা তার এগেনস্টে, বাম বিরোধী। তার হেডলাইন না বলা ভালো, একটা ছোট্ট খুব ইন্টারেস্টিং কার্টুন, যে জ্যোতিবাবু 3টে ফ্রেম, তিনি হাওড়া স্টেশনে দাঁড়িয়ে আছেন, প্রচুর লোক যেতে পারছেন না, সেকেন্ড ফ্রেম, উনি ধুতিটা খুলছেন, জামা খুলছেন, কুর্তাটা খুলছেন, তারপর একটা সুইমিং কস্টিউম পরেছেন, পরে ব্রিজের উপর দাঁড়িয়েছেন। হেডলাইনটা হচ্ছে জনরোষের মুখে বসু সাঁতরেও গঙ্গা পেরোতে পারলেন না। এবার তুমি কি বলবে? একই খবর, 4টে কাগজ 4 রকম হেডলাইন করে তোমাকে পরিবেশন করছে, তুমি পাঠক হিসেবে কি করবে? তুমি তো জার্নালিজম পড়োনি, তুমি সাধারণ একজন মানুষ, খবরের কাগজ পড়ছো, 4টে কাগজ 4টে হেডলাইন। এটাই আমার উত্তর, আমি বাকিদের বলছি তাদের এক্সপিরিয়েন্স শেয়ার করার জন্য।
না, এটা ব্যাপারটা হলো যে দেবাঞ্জন যেভাবে এক্সপ্লেন করলো একদমই ঠিক তাই। অ্যাকচুয়ালি প্রেজেন্টেশন will be different from different perspectives. So it depends on the readers. I have already said, আমি আগের প্রশ্নটার উত্তরেই বললাম যে it depends on the reader, it depends on the viewer. I just urge to every young people who are watching this show. I don't know whether our students are there watching this show. Just apply your brain when you are reading, when you are watching. Just apply your brain, apply your good sense that can it be true? Should we verify? Especially যারা জার্নালিজম স্টুডেন্টস আছেন, তারা সবাই জানেন যে আমরা বলি চেক, ক্রস চেক, অ্যান্ড এগেইন চেক। চেক, ক্রস চেক অ্যান্ড এগেইন চেক। একটা তথ্য যখন আমরা দেব, সেই তথ্যটা কোনোভাবে যাতে ভুল না হয় তার জন্য 3 স্টেপস অফ চেকিং উইল বি দেয়ার, মাস্ট বি দেয়ার। আমি যখন রিডার, আমি যখন ভিউয়ার, তখনও এই চেক আর ক্রস চেকের এই মানে এই অভ্যাসটা, এটা যদি রাখা যায় তবেই এই সোশ্যাল মিডিয়ার যুগে উই ক্যান সার্ভাইভ। আদারওয়াইজ এই ফ্রি ফ্লো অফ ইনফরমেশনে উই উইল বি জাস্ট ফ্লাডেড অ্যাওয়ে।
One last question that will be yes. Yeah, I'll be coming to Debanjan sir. Yes, sir.
No, I'm asking Rumela to share her experience about the agency stories.
And I will add that to what ma'am says, just since you will be adding your own experience, and we are almost nearing the end of the show. We have been getting questions. So one last question from me to madam will be that do you think there is any particular statutory body for regulating this particular flow of fake news, creating fiction? So what kind of regulatory body do we know about in that sense?
In fact, that's a very good question. I would say, I think there has to be stricter measures to check the flow of fake information. As of now, we do have some apps, some media houses who are actually, as I said, PIB has an Insta page, a Twitter page where you can go and actually check what's fake and what's not. They do update it regularly. That's just one. There's also alt news, but then very rightly mentioned, there has to be, somewhere some stricter measures wherein, these flow of fake news or colored news get checked. That's the need of the hour. Thank you for asking that question. Coming back to what Debanjan sir just said, if I were there, if I were to read 4 newspapers, what is human psychology, what is basic human psychology is that we tend to believe something that reinforces our belief, our opinion. We all have our own biases. We cannot be free of bias. As human beings, we all have our biases. So we tend to take in that information which kind of, aligns with our set of beliefs. If we can rise above that, if we can take 4 sets of newspapers, as he's mentioned, then probably we'll go through, different perspectives, and we'll draw a conclusion which is comparatively less biased, which is, more fruitful, I would say. So, since you mentioned the academic part also, this should no longer be restricted or limited to journalism only. Every school, every college, every subject, somewhere we need to tell our students that, it's not wise to immediately get instigated or share whatever forwards we are getting on WhatsApp. It's, we need to use our brains, as Mr. Majumdar has rightly mentioned, and we also need to verify, talk to 2 people. If you're a student, talk to 2 of your elders. If you are not a student, if you're working, talk to 2 of your colleagues, or maybe, Google, put in the keywords and type, try and find out, how much of whatever is being shared is true. If you find, even if you find, 2 of your friends have shared something, you found out that, it's not true, there is another side to it, do get back to the trend and also say that, whatever you have shared is not true, I found out something else. There needs to be a very healthy debate, a healthy discussion on this whole topic. And it is very pertinent these days because, with the social media boom happening, a lot is being peddled out. So, as I said, I'm going to just repeat myself that each of us have to be responsible if we want this whole trend of fake news to end.
Thank you, ma'am, for your insightful comments. We are just nearing the end of the session. I think that was one of the finest sessions that we had from Lit Infinite. Thank you to all the speakers. Any message for the readers of Lit Infinite? We started in 2019, as Debanjan sir, Shoykot sir, they must be knowing. Just one piece of information to ma'am as well. We started in 2019 with a journal which is bilingual, which is for arts, humanities, and social sciences. And within 1 year, we have received 14 international indexing as of now, including all the major numbers that are required for verification. So we are specifically catering to domains like arts, humanities, and social sciences. Bilingual, দ্বিভাষিক যে জায়গাটা আমরা নিয়ে আসছি। So আমাদের রিডারদের জন্য যদি তোমরা কিছু মেসেজ রেখে যাও before the end of the show. Obviously, we have some of the finest panelists today.
Okay. My message, or I should say that lit infinite, I mean, it starts with lit, that one is literature, another is light. And literature has an integral relation with media always, it will be having. And this relationship will remain forever, I believe. So the readers, I would request the readers that literature and media has a very integral relationship. Consume both and consume sensibly, because as I have said that too much of information can flood you away. Just apply your brain and just apply your good sense. You can distinguish from milk and water. দুধ জল থেকে দুধটা আলাদা করে খাওয়ার দায়িত্ব একজন পাঠক হিসেবে আপনার। আপনি সাহিত্যের পাঠকই হন আর মিডিয়ার পাঠক বা মিডিয়ার ভিউয়ারই হন, সেটুকু যদি আমরা করতে পারি তাহলে আর এই ডিসইনফরমেশন মিসইনফরমেশনের এই পুরো যে এই বন্যাটা সেটা আমাদের আর ভাসিয়ে নিয়ে যেতে পারবে না। ধন্যবাদ।
Thank you, sir.
From my part, I can say, first of all, the name. It is literature and infinite. So try to understand literature and infinite. And literature, there's an old proverb says that without the knowledge of literature and law, and education cannot be completed. Being a part of Lit Infinite, I could remember I contributed one article in Lit Infinite. I saw a feature basically about international communication, I guess, international communication. So I found that that particular Lit Infinite issue was fantastic in terms of its weight. I say in terms of weight means it's very good collection of feature, some good poetries, very authentic kind of some good essays, and I found the magazine was very up to standard. I can say it is one of the very good magazine I have come across. So I would like everyone to read more, to write more, and contribute, and please be a part of literature and language. There is no difference between media and literature, but there is a subtle difference between the type of writing style in media and literature, but as such there is no big difference. My best wishes to Lit Infinite. It is one of the best ever journal I have come across. All the best to Lit Infinite.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
I would only repeat what both of them have said. I think you are taking an extremely important initiative, holding such sessions and all. I think you should do more of it, not just because of your readers, for people at large. And as for your journalists concerned, honestly, I'm yet to go through it, but I would definitely want to have a look at it. And I would also request the readers to give relevant and pertinent feedback, so that I'm sure Shritanvi is doing a lovely job. She can only work on it and improve and make it even better and bigger. So all the best to her, and all the best to all her readers too.
Thanks to all our session panelists. Thanks from Lit
Thank you, Staya. Thank you so much. I think we should thank you so much. We should take an oath today that along with this COVID-19, it is high time to eradicate this fake pandemic which is roaming on virtual platforms.
Exactly.
Thanks Shritanvi, and all the best.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you so much. Thank you, organizing for such a wonderful webinar. Thank you so much.